Hi, everyone. I'm Sam Valenti. Welcome back to Backlot Pass. Today's guest is an absolutely amazing actor. She's been on numerous shows over the years, like Brothers, Get a Life, Shaky Ground. When it comes to films, you might know her from awesome films like Alligator, Step Monster, and she will be in a new Lifetime Christmas film, The Holiday Proposal Plan, premiering this Saturday, December 16th. She's also written a book called A Survivor's Guide to Hollywood: How to Play the Game Without Losing Your Soul. I am so glad to be finally talking with her today, a true living legend, Robin Riker. Robin, gosh, how are you doing today?
I'm doing splendidly, thank you. We're out here in Los Angeles. The weather is beautiful. I'm talking to you. How good could things be? They couldn't be better.
Yep, absolutely. So I got to ask, with this new Christmas film coming out, do you have any fun plans for Christmas coming up?
It's funny because we had family in for Thanksgiving, and a lot of people. I think I just finished washing the dishes now, and we have turkey soup into the next century. Um, so we're kind of taking it easy for Christmas. We've been invited to a couple of Christmas parties by friends, but I don't know what we're going to do. We may just take off for a few days and have some adventure.
Yes, yes, of course. So now I kind of want to get into your background and stuff,
Okay.
with your acting. So I read that you come from a family full of performers. So just, first off, how influential was that growing up around the performing arts really to you deciding to go into acting?
Oh, enormously. I mean, what is that saying? As the twig is bent, so the tree grows. So, as a little twig, I was very much bent towards the creative arts. I also started writing when I was very young. I wrote a little song when I was like 4, and wrote little stories. And I wrote a play when I was in 5th grade that the 6th grade produced at the school auditorium, and and started on stage when I was 2. But just because my parents were in the theater, I still had to audition for the roles. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, we'll put her in the show. I had to audition. And when out here in Hollywood, they say oftentimes they'll say, oh, that was a great audition, but we're not giving it to you because we went another way. And that always puzzles me because I think, oh, you didn't want, great, you went another way. But when you audition for your parents and they say you're not right for the part, you can't call your agent and complain. You just have to accept that. So I was sort of conditioned for this business very young, and it was enormously influential to me. I being growing up in the theater, as I say, I grew up backstage, on stage, selling tickets in the lobby, and in the box office. So I was just immersed in it, and I loved it. It wasn't as though I felt it was expected of me. It was something I really, really wanted.
Mm. Wow, so you had to audition for your parents.
Yeah.
Well, when you're doing that, was there sort of like any pressure when you were doing that?
No, I didn't feel it then at all, because my mother particularly, was always extremely honest with me and always kind. My feeling is you can pretty much tell me anything as long as you say it kindly. So, and mostly I got the parts. I wasn't rejected too often, by them anyway. So it didn't feel pressure. I wanted to just like now, I want to do the best I can do for the part.
Yeah, absolutely. No, was like acting, would you say that was that always what you kind of envision yourself doing in life?
Yes, I think if we want to get psychological about it, my mother always, they both encouraged me. My parents divorced when I was 8, though. And both my parents were actors. My mother also wrote and directed. And my mother encouraged my writing quite a lot. And then I think I gravitated more toward acting because my dad had left and he was the actor. And I think I felt that if I were doing more of what he did, that maybe that would make us closer. I didn't think that at all when I was growing up, but upon reflection, I think maybe that's why I went more toward the acting, as opposed to carrying on with the writing. which
Right.
I still do, but I devoted more to the stage and acting than the writing for a good portion of my life.
Yes. Now something that I thought was kind of cool. I was reading up on this. So I read that you graduated from high school early. You move out on your own to California. Now I have to ask, is this true that for a time you were living in a frat house at Stanford?
Yes, Phi Kappa Psi fraternity on the Stanford campus.
Wow, wow, wow. How about that?
Yeah.
How was, no, what was that entire experience like getting to like be in a frat house? What was that like?
I loved it. I mean, it was very I love people, I love crowds, I love men, and everybody was they were very uh, creative and intellectual folks and fun, and it was I liked it a lot, and I felt in a little way, I felt like I belonged. My boyfriend was attending Stanford, but my grandfather attended Stanford, my aunts and uncles attended Stanford, and uh, my yeah, so it seemed like it was in the family. I applied to Stanford when I graduated from high school, but my grades weren't quite good enough, and I planned I would go to. There's a college, a junior college up there in that area called Foothill, and they had a really good theater department, and I went there with a half-assed idea that I would then apply to Stanford, but by then I was done and traveling and doing theater in the area, and so I didn't ever go back.
Well, I will say this. I bet looking back now, Stanford wishes that they would have accepted you.
Oh, God love you, Sam. That's
Uh,
nice of you to say.
Um, so now let's get into some of your, notable roles, and so some of these roles here that I kind of want to get into are sort of some roles that that maybe you haven't, discussed as much, in some of your interviews. But first off, so after you have your first big role in Alligator, which a lot of people have seen, amazing movie, you have your first sitcom role, with Brothers, and this
Yeah.
is a great show because it was ahead of its time with
Yes.
gay characters at the forefront. So,
Yeah.
just what memories do you have from working on the show and just kind of looking back at it now? Again, a show that was pretty ahead of its time.
It was. I was so proud of that show, and the we had, it was taped live in front of a live audience, and so we had regulars coming every taping. It was once a week, I think Tuesdays we taped, and the house was packed with regulars to come to see the show. Every gay bar in Los Angeles had the television tuned to it when we aired the episodes, and I was so proud of the conversation that we brought into the households across America. We got letters all the time from uh, people, mothers, sons, sisters, and fathers saying, my brother is gay, and my father now he and my father didn't know how to deal with it, and now the two of them sit down and watch Brothers together, because Brothers embodied all aspects of how people relate to gayness, that there was a brother who thought it was terrible that his little brother was gay. There was another brother who was a sports star who, just didn't really bother him that much. And this brother that was gay was very, you wouldn't know it. He wasn't flamboyant, but then there was the other character who was just a flamer, and was so every aspect of it was covered. And it was so it brought the conversation, as I said, into the living rooms of homes across America, and fathers and sons, daughters and parents had a rapprochement. They came together, and suddenly it wasn't as alien a concept, as frightening a concept as sometimes it had been. So that made me very happy. And I remember one time the all the lads on the show were invited to go on the Phil Donahue show, and they were hoping that they would have some controversy in the audience. That the older audience members would have something to say. But everybody, it was just a love fest. Nobody. Some people came out from the audience to say, yes, my family and I are now closer together because of this. It didn't cause any controversy. It was quite the contrary. It was like a healing thing, which was wonderful to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing. I think you're a part of something special. You're contributing to something great. When you're seeing that show lead to further further dialogues, further discussions about real issues, and that's when you're a part of something great.
Right. Absolutely. I'm very, very proud of that show.
Yeah,
There
yes,
was
of course.
there was a play much later. I did an Arthur Miller play called All My Sons at the Geffen Theater here in Los Angeles with Laurie Metcalf and Neil Patrick Harris. And that was another moment where the show really fit the time, because I don't know if everyone's familiar with it, but All My Sons is about a manufacturer of airplane parts who knowingly releases imperfect parts for the war, World War II. And he does it to keep the profits coming. And because of it, many young men and women died. And it was we were doing that play at exactly the same moment that we were invading Iraq and sending our men and women into battle with inferior equipment. And the show got a standing ovation every single night. And the only afternoon it didn't get a standing ovation, when the lights came up, we saw that it was just because most of the audience was too old to stand. But it was one of those moments, like Brothers, when what we are doing creatively fits perfectly into the zeitgeist of the time, so it was quite wonderful.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm sure for you, getting to be a part of projects like that, I imagine that carries a lot of meaning, for you.
Does. And may I add just a little more meaning to it?
Yeah.
All My Sons was the first play that I remember seeing my father perform. He played the Neil Patrick Harris role. And so when the audition came around, I thought, oh my goodness, oh, I hope this has something for me. And it did. So I was very, very, very happy. It really was a full circle for me.
Wow, that is amazing. Honestly, that's
Yeah.
incredible. Right, just those amazing full circle moments where just everything seems to come together, right?
Right. You feel like you're doing something right.
Yes, absolutely. So now I want to talk about, and this might be this actually might be my favorite show that you're in, and I love it. I'm so glad that there are so many episodes available on YouTube, that have been saved from, like, I think like old VHS tapes. But it's a sitcom you did for Fox. This was your second sitcom on the network after Get a Life. It's Shaky Ground, and this is so cool because you got to work with Max Headroom himself, Matt Frewer, and
Right.
a young Jennifer Love Hewitt. So,
Yes. And a young, oh my God, the kid from, oh, I love Haley Joel Osment. He was the one in Sixth Sense,
mm,
and then he's gone on to be in that Silicon Valley series that just came out. So two very successful young actors were my kids. Oh, I'm sorry. Haley was in the Thunder Alley with Ed Asner. Another series I did. But yeah, Jennifer Love Hewitt. She was a doll. I remember taking her out to lunch on her 15th birthday or something at the Warner Brothers commissary. That's where we were shooting. So it
uh,
was really fun.
that is awesome. Just and here's the thing, I love this show, and I think the chemistry of the cast members is what makes it so great. And just you and Matt make such a great pair, and I think you're the perfect foil to, like, his kind of whole zany antics. That
Right, right.
great.
It was funny because I had done an episode of another series that he was in. I think it was called Doctor Doctor.
Yep,
It
yep,
was
that's it.
one episode of that. And so, and apparently we hit it off. And so when this series came around and I was up for the role, he remembered me from, I mean, I had to audition for the role, but he remembered me from the working together on Dr. Doctor, and we'd had a good time on that. So I think that maybe helped weight things in my favor. I don't know.
Wow, that's awesome, and it's funny because of that episode of Doctor Doctor, it's on YouTube as well, and it's so funny, and you can kind of if you watch the episode, you can kind of see the you can I can definitely see why they put you guys together for a full series. It's
Oh, that's nice.
great.
Well, you do your research, don't you, Sam? You're really good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll say this. I love digging deep into the archives. It's always a lot of fun. But there's this great thing you have in the episode of Doctor Doctor, and you're dating Matt's character, and your character is getting a divorce. But it's funny because you're having difficulty saying you're getting a divorce. You're saying, I'm getting a divorce, and then when you say it, it's like a big moment. It's amazing.
I have to watch that again.
Yes, it is an amazing episode. It's awesome.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely. And just speaking of great guest appearances that you've had, I do have to mention a particular guest spot that you had. It was on a UPN show called a One-on-One, and you have a great scene with the late hip hop artist Nate Dogg. And
Yes. Yeah, oh, I love that one.
I think it's one of the great crossovers of all time, in my opinion.
Thank you. I really enjoyed doing that because I, they didn't. I went in a wig, and a total character, and you don't get the opportunity, or you don't take the opportunity a lot of times out here to take those chances. When they saw me, when they accepted me to come in for the audition, they were looking at a headshot, and in walks a completely different looking me, but they totally went with it because I created that whole character, and which I loved doing completely against type characters for me. And so yeah, that was fabulous. That was really a fun show to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely agree, and I don't know why. I just think it's so amazing that you and Nate Dogg just have a scene together. It just blows my mind. It's so.
Yeah, I like that too.
Um, now I want to talk about an amazing movie. I was just watching it the other day, and it's such a fun movie. Step Monster. When you got to work with the late great Alan Thicke, just
Yeah.
what memories do you have from that film?
That it was great fun. Again, a character, I got to transform into being a monster, and then back into being a normal woman. And I got to put my spin on what I imagined that the step monster perceived humanity through the airwaves somehow, watching television. That's why I had her in those little dresses, with like where you'd vacuum and wash the dishes, and all dressed up like they did in the 1950s TV shows, and it was really fun to do that. And Alan was great fun to work with. And so was John Aston, the late great John Aston. He was in it too, and I do have a very interesting memory about that. I was, in fact, going through a divorce at the time that I was working on that show, and John Aston played the minister who was going to marry me to Alan Thicke, because he had to marry me in order for the step monster to continue, and so we are doing that scene. I'm in full bridal regalia, and they stop shooting the scene for a minute, and the assistant director comes to me and says, I have a phone call on the set. And I go to the phone, and I answer the phone, and it's my attorney telling me that the divorce has gone through and it is final. So I'm standing there dressed as a bride, hearing that my divorce is final, right on the set of Step Monsters during the wedding scene. So it was pretty funny,
Oh,
pretty coincidental. Yeah.
that's that's great, and I just I think what makes your performance great in this film is that you're you're kind of pretending to be this nice girl who's obviously not that. But even in the first scene, when you first appear like in the forest and stuff, and just the way you speak and the way you move, you can already tell there's something just a little bit off about this person.
Out now.
And it's no, it's subtle, but it's brilliant the way
Oh,
you
thank you.
perform that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was just lots and lots of fun to do.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And it's every time I watch it, it's just so jarring. And, when they, during like the transformation scenes, no, when it like when you dissolve into like the monster, it's jarring.
Oh, and I love the one scene where Alan is trying to have a drink, and he's nervous and he can't get the cork out of the bottle,
Yep.
and so I take the bottle from him and I turn away, and suddenly I have fangs and I just do this and pull the cork out of the bottle impatiently. Here, now pour us drinks, So that was fun. Those transitions, as you say, those were fun.
Yep, absolutely. So now I want to talk about, and this is something very interesting that you got to be a part of this. So this is around the year like 2000, 2001. You appeared in this unaired pilot for a short-lived sitcom starring Emerald Lagasse, the celebrity chef,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you played his wife. You can
I
find it on
did.
YouTube these days. What was it like working, no, with Emerald as he took this venture into acting?
Well, it was interesting because he was a nice guy, but not an actor. But one of the things that was great was that about craft services. There's a thing called craft services on the set where there's a table of food all throughout the day, so you can replenish your energy as you work. And you can imagine that with Emerald Lagasse on the set, the craft services was top notch. He had chefs come in to make us delicacies to have for our snacks, as opposed to just chips and popcorn and an odd sandwich here and there. He made sure that we were all very well fed. So that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Hey, that's awesome. You're getting to have some delicious food, no, as
Yeah.
part of your work.
Yeah.
That's all you need. That's all you
That's
need.
all you need. That was one thing about growing up in the theater. I learned that, because theater doesn't pay that well unless you're a major star, and you're not going to make a fortune doing theater. But I learned through my parents, and because they owned their own theater in Aspen, Colorado for several years, that if you give people, as you just said, Sam, something good to eat and something fun to do, people will just do anything. All we do shows and come back to the house and have a big pot of chili and a couple bottles of wine, and the camaraderie of it, the creativity of it, the family aspect of creating something all together was such a payoff for everyone. You felt like you were part of something, so that was great. So food does
Yeah.
play a part.
Yes, 100%. So of course, no, they shoot the pilot, for Emerald and stuff that you're on.
Right.
And then eventually, it aired on NBC, but was there ever, a particular reason why you weren't in the show when it actually aired?
I have no idea. I remember the casting person calling me up and saying, it's probably not going to be very many episodes, and you probably aren't going to want to do just a few episodes of this or that. So, we maybe are thinking of replacing your character with someone else. And I don't remember the name of the actor with whom they replaced me, but I know that she'd just come from another show or something. This happens all the time in this business, that you get replaced. And I don't know why. I never was told that they weren't happy with my work or anything like that. I have no idea why. But Turnabout was fair play. And later on, when I did the series with Ed Asner, that's how I got that role, because another actor had originally played Ed's daughter, and they replaced her. And I fortunately stepped in and got to do the whole series. So that was great for me.
Yes, yes.
Sorry for her, but
Yeah, yeah. It's, I feel like out there's a different alternate universe where they kept you on the Emerald Show, and then the Emerald Show becomes this massive hit.
oh, right. Yes, that's it. Because it didn't really run very long, did it? Did it do very many
No, it didn't. It had a very, very short run.
short run? Okay. Well, I dodged a bullet and got some
Yeah,
good
yes.
snacks.
Yep, certainly. So of course, we've been talking a lot about, your work on sitcoms and stuff. You're a real sitcom veteran, but you said that your favorite place to act, is always going to be the stage. You love doing theater and stuff. So of course, we talked a little bit about All My Sons. But when you're performing on these sitcoms, from your experience, does the sitcom environment with the audience and everything provide kind of a similar experience to
Yes.
theater?
Yes, it's the closest. It's the closest you get because you get the real immediate response from the audience. And I tell you what, Sam, there is nothing better than getting a big laugh from the audience that is absolutely genuine. Because, some of these shows, they call it sweetening when they add some laughter to it where they feel it needs the laughter. But when you're performing and you get a big laugh from the audience just on a look you give or delivery of a line or something, oh my God, it's like the best champagne in the world. It's fabulous to get that. So yes, you are right to perceive that shooting sitcoms in front of a live audience is as close to the stage, the theater, as we get in this business.
Yes, absolutely. And listen, I imagine, whenever you have those big moments, when you deliver a line so well and you get the whole audience laughing, I bet that's pretty satisfying.
Oh, it's so satisfying. It's so satisfying. I love to make people laugh anyway. And I remember when I was doing Thunder Alley with Ed Asner, we had they do a table read. Everybody, the cast gets around and they get the script for the first time and we just read it around a table. And I remember I got a huge laugh just out of the producers because I delivered a line in a way they didn't expect it to be delivered. And that was very satisfying too.
Yes, absolutely. And so now you mentioned Thunder Alley, and that was a show we know where you kind of stepped into a role that had kind of previously been established, and another show where you got to do that was on The Bold and the Beautiful,
Right.
big soap opera where you played Beth Logan, and
Right.
so with Beth being kind of an established character played by different actors before you, what was the preparation like for playing that character and putting your own mark on it?
Well, I don't know that there was a lot of preparation for it. I know in soap operas, this happens often, that people are, somebody goes off and, you're kissing somebody in one scene and then the next episode, you're still kissing that person, but it's a different actor, so it happens a lot. So I didn't feel any particular burden to incorporate what other Beth Logans had done on the show. But what I did feel was uh, the Bells, the producer of the Bold and the Beautiful, it was the Bell family, and the senior Bell, the father who created it, alas, had been stricken with Alzheimer's. And so my character, Beth, when they brought her back on, they wanted somehow to sort of pay a tribute to the patriarch of the family. And so my character was afflicted with Alzheimer's as well. And so I definitely wanted to I felt a burden to portray that as honestly as I could. They didn't take me very deep into the disease, but I did feel a responsibility for that. And I think that this is just my opinion, but I feel as though they kind of their intent was to acknowledge this awful disease and pay tribute to the patriarch of the Bell family. But then it got too uncomfortable. They didn't really know what to do. And so that's why I drowned hideously in a pool. Because when they don't know what to do with you, they have to figure out some exit. So, but it was a good run. I enjoyed doing it. And getting the job was very funny because I was back in New York at the time. I was doing an off-Broadway show. And and my agent had called and said that they wanted to meet me out here for this Bold and the Beautiful thing. And I had never really aspired to soap opera much. And I was in New York, and I said, well, if they're going to fly me out for the audition, I'll come, but I'm not going to spend my own money to come out for an audition. They want to offer me the part, that's something else. And so they said, well, they want to talk to you at least. They can't just flat out offer you, and if they don't want to fly you out for a thing, but they want to talk to you, the producer wants to talk to you. And I said, sure. So the call came. I'm at Yankee Stadium watching a game, and the call comes. I'm just about taking a picture of the field to the diamond to send to my husband, who is back in Los Angeles, and the phone rings, and they want to talk to me now. And so I leave my seat and I go up to the ladies' room, which was the only quiet place there. And I have this conversation with the producer. And then halfway through the conversation, it's the seventh inning stretch, and the bathroom fills with women talking and water running and toilets flushing and paper towels ripping and tearing. And I'm trying to have this conversation. But apparently it worked, because they offered me the job, and I finished the work I was doing in New York, and then came back out here to do that.
Wow, wow, what a story. How amazing is that? And
It's
I'm
so
a
glamorous, isn't it?
yeah,
The
you
ladies'
know,
room at Yankee Stadium.
yep, and I'll say this, no, I'm a huge, fan of baseball. I love sports and stuff. So I was not expecting the Yankees to be a part of this interview, but that's amazing. It's crazy how sometimes things work out that way.
That's true. Very true.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, wow. That is, that's crazy. That is crazy. But when you were on Bold and the Beautiful and stuff, you got to work with a real soap opera veteran, one of the great Susan Flannery.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
you guys had some great scenes together. So just
Yeah.
what was it like getting to work with her?
I loved it. She is such a broad, she's really the best interpretation of that word. She's grounded, she's honest, she's down to earth, she's tells the truth, and pulls no punches. And I love that. I love that. She's really seemed like a theater broad to me.
Yep. She sure is. And you guys have a real particular great scene in the show, and you guys kind of get into a bit of an argument, and
Oh,
and
yeah.
and then it gets to a point where when you're just kind of laying into her and stuff, the emotion you show, it seemed genuine and real, which I think makes the scene so, great, and it has this great impact. I mean, your acting is just top notch in that scene. It's pretty amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, when you're playing off of somebody who gives as good as they get, it makes it better, doesn't it? Like playing ball, when you have good teammates, it makes the whole thing better, because everybody knows what they're doing and does it well.
Yep, 100%, of course. No, and of course you've worked on other soap operas, not just Bold and the Beautiful, but of course Days of Our Lives, General Hospital, and just, in general, soap operas, they aren't easy to work on. They can really test, someone's fortitude. So how would you describe the experience in general of acting on a soap opera?
Well, it is the Fast and the Furious. You have to get it done, and there's often lots and lots of dialogue that you have to get for each day, and it's new. You don't do many takes on anything. You need to get it right the first time, or everything is held up and comes to a screeching halt. But one thing that's funny, and is that sometimes people will have their sides, that's what they call the papers. And so they'll have their paper like this, and then the camera's about to roll, and then they stuff the sides behind the sofa, or behind the cushion of the chair or something like that. So, and then we're going to do another take. And so, okay, cut. All right. And then out come the pages again, so you could refer to them.
Yeah. Soap operas can be, they can be quite hectic.
Oh, yeah.
No, things are moving so fast paced, and you got to get these episodes out.
Right.
It's not easy.
No, it's not easy, and they deserve their props, for those actors on those shows being able to get it all done all the time.
Yes, absolutely. Now I want to talk about this awesome movie that you made just a couple years ago for Lifetime. When you play the Psycho Granny in Psycho Granny.
Oh my God. My favorite. It's one of my
Yes.
favorites because you get to be everything in it. I get to be, you think, well, in the opening scene, this is another one. I got called up and they wanted to offer me this role, which is great. But I said, well, let me read the script first. And they sent me the script and I read that first scene at the dinner table. And I said, well, I'm in. If the rest of the script is anything like this, I'm in. And I loved it because I got to be, nice and sweet, and then stab you with a knitting needle. I mean, just all hit you with a teapot. And after I've just confided and had you confide in me and been a loving, sweet person, and then I turn like this, and those are the best. Those are the most fun roles to play when you have a little bad, a lot of bad in her case. But I love doing that one. I loved it.
Yeah. It is, it's a really great film. And I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that opening scene. Of course, you're giving that monologue at that dinner table. And I love the part when the camera just slowly pulls back and reveals all the victims. It perfectly sets the tone for, what you're about to see.
Yes, it does. It does. It was really well done. And the director, Rebecca DeWinter, I'm pretty sure that was her last name, DeWinter, was wonderful to work with. And yeah, I really enjoyed working with her. The whole crew was terrific. The rest of the cast was lovely. And it was all in all a really fun experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And and just like you were, just like you were talking about, I think it's so great how Colleen in one scene she'll be just very heartfelt and genuine. Like there's like the scene of the diner and stuff. But then the
Yeah.
next minute she'll just be completely evil and sinister.
Terrible. A
It's
terrible human being. Yeah, that's crazy.
yeah, and I just think it's a great showcase of your talents and
Thank
stuff.
you. It
Really.
is, that's sometimes people will ask you to send them a reel if you don't want to audition for a part, and there's so many varieties of Colleen in that piece that there's something to fit many other roles, pieces I can take out and send and go, yeah, I can do that, so let me. Oh, and
Yes.
I just got excited a minute ago and made a big face because the coincidences in life, they're my husband is a director of photography and cameraman, and this last just before a couple months ago, all the locals, 600s and various other camera locals, got together and had sort of a garage sale where people brought their equipment and their things, and then costumers brought things, and so it was great fun to go and see everybody and check things out. And while I was there, a woman came up to me. She happened to have been the wardrobe mistress for Psycho Granny. And she had in her wardrobe that she was selling a sweater that I wore in the show when I do the tea kettle number. And so I bought it. It was fun. She wanted to just give it to me, but I said, no, I have to let you have something for doing it. That's why you're here. So that was just a funny little one of those full circles again, that we talked about.
Yep, exactly. And it's end up just between Step Monster and Psycho Granny. I think you do a great job of being the villain, of being the bad guy. I mean, how much fun is that? For you, kind of getting to show getting to be the bad guy, to show off that evil side.
The best. I don't know if you were going to go here or not, but I also did an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
Hmm.
and and it was again, and I got to do that dichotomy. I played this evil woman who had taken over the soul of her daughter. So in one scene, I get to play the innocent daughter whose soul in a way has been taken by her mother, whose youth has been taken by her mother, and then in other scenes, I'm this horrible person. And when I was very young, I did 2 seasons with the Colorado Shakespeare Festival, and Shakespeare is a great teacher of ways to pull off evil and sinister characters. And I remember that I went to my Shakespearean training when I was auditioning for that role in Buffy, and to when I played the evil witch, and that's the name of the episode, is called The Witch, or just Witch. And so that was fun. So you're right, they're the best to play, the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think it's awesome that know that you have experience with Shakespeare. That's really cool.
That's great. I love doing that. The best training you can get. So is theater. Anybody out there who's thinking of pursuing a career in acting, do as much theater as you can. Do it for free, do it for a nickel, do it, because the training is the best. It's the best.
Yep, 100%. So now I want to talk about your book, Survivor's Guide to Hollywood. So, as you mentioned, earlier, you've been writing since you were little. So just, kind of going back there, how did that interest in writing, first sprout? And, how did your previous writing experience end up leading to this book that you wrote?
Well, I think my interest in writing came from a very, very young interest in reading. My mother read a lot. I started reading very young, and I loved words, loved words. That I remember that I was always trying to spell a word. And from the time I could talk, and I would say, does APQ spell anything? And she would go, no, that doesn't spell anything. And the very first word I spelled was zoo. Oh my God, I was over the moon, Sam. I was, I just had gotten up after a nap, and my mom was dressing me, and I said, does ZOO spell anything? Yes, zoo. And I was just so delighted. So I've always been fascinated by words. And I come by that honestly too. I think my great grandfather was a lawyer. My grandfather was an attorney, and they all wrote, they loved words, they loved language. And it was always a part of my life. And so, and then I just gravitated to writing. I don't, nobody said, hey, you should. I just wrote something down and showed it to my mom, and she liked it. And the encouragement had me keep doing it, and so I would write in class. And I remember I was not very good with punctuation until I was in the 7th grade, though. I remember I'd do creative writing in my English classes, and I would get A for content and D for grammar. So I finally learned how to use commas and punctuation properly, and then I took off. So there were things to learn, but the love of reading is what led me to writing, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. What made me, I don't know. I know there was some sort of impetus that sort of goosed me along to write the book. Oh, I know. It was just, I was just thinking that for the people who come to town, it's a crazy place. And there are all kinds of people who want to teach you how to act, but you also need to learn how to behave, how to perceive the things that are coming at you. There's everybody out here, everybody's a snake oil salesman. I mean, everybody wants, people are so vulnerable here because they expect they want their dreams to come true so much, and they're so willing to just believe anybody who says, I can help that happen for you, and you can't keep your soul and do that. And I never wanted anything so much that I would compromise my integrity to get it, because I have to live with me forever. And I wouldn't want to betray myself just to have something that I thought was either something or some part or something like that. I just never could do it. And I was able to be successful with that philosophy. There were a lot of things that were offered me that had so many strings attached that I wasn't interested. And it didn't harm me, and it helped me as a human to grow and to feel more confident, in myself and in my ability and in how things work out and come full circle often, as we've talked about. So I wanted to share that. with people. I wanted to share things to that you can to look out for, you know, and types of personalities that might try to worm their way into your lives. And sometimes if you have a map that says, okay, this here lies some sort of danger, you know, just beware, then you can meet that situation, not be afraid of it, but be able to protect yourself and sort of gird yourself against being taken advantage of, and sort of steer away from the toxic people that pervade this town.
Mm. And then, so when you're writing the book and stuff, what was the writing process like for you?
Oh, I tell you what, Sam, I love writing, but getting my ass in the chair is the hardest part of it. Once I'm there, I can just write for hours. But it's always that, well, I have to do the dishes. I have to go to the market. I have to do something before I sit down and do this, and I still am plagued with that. I've been starting writing some short stories, and I have an article that I've submitted to the LA Times. And so I'm trying to, and still I have, but Thanksgiving is coming. Well, I can sit down for 2 hours and write every day without worrying about Thanksgiving being shorted because my time, but it's the discipline of it. That is the hardest part, is to get to sit down and start, but it's inspiring once I get going. I love doing it. I just love doing it. And I've written a couple of screenplays, and one of them by myself and one of them with a partner. And yeah, it's good. It's good. I like it very much.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that I think was really cool that they got to do, when you were, I could, because when the book came out and stuff, I believe you got to kind of go around to certain places and kind of speak, and kind of give like give let's see what's the word, give some lectures, I guess, kind of about what what the book is about and stuff. And I bet that was a lot of fun getting to do that and kind of speak to people about it.
Damn, Sam, you are really good. You know that. Yes, I got to go to a couple of bookstores and do some reading and share. And then there's a women's club here in Los Angeles called the E-Bell. And it was an amazing theater established, amazing club established back in the late 1800s when women couldn't even get, a loan at the bank without their husbands. And I got to do a presentation of the book there, and had a really good audience, and it was great to share. And yeah, it's so much fun. So I'd like to do more of that, actually.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, do you think possibly in the future you'll write another book?
Yes, yes, I'm in the process, and now you are holding me to it. As I said, I'm in the process of making a group of short stories. I've got 3 of them already, and today I will write some more. Sam, now that you and I have talked, you have inspired me to get my ass back in the chair.
Wow, wow, that's awesome. That's so cool. Well, obviously I don't want you to spoil anything, of course, but what's the gist of some of these short stories that you've been writing?
Okay. Well, one of them, they're sort of essays, they're not, they're true stories. One of them is my husband, it took him like 5 years to seduce me into getting an RV, because, and I'm not proud of this. Uh, I had a great prejudice about the type of people who have RVs, and it was not a flattering opinion. So I didn't really want one. I certainly didn't want a big one. And finally we would go to shows and we would look at them, and I could see that they were sort of okay. And then finally he did so much research on everything. He's Mr. Research. And he found an RV that was 24 feet from tip to tail and had a slide out of 18 feet. And it looks like a studio apartment on the Upper West Side when it's opened up, and it's just glorious, and we love it. And it was so funny because the universe said, oh yeah, you have your ideas about who's in an RV. Let me show you something. So the first trip we took, we went up to see my brother who was in Santa Barbara, and there was only one little place to park, one little RV park off of the freeway. And so we parked, and there was an RV next to us. And I saw a lady get out, and she had white hair, and she was wearing sort of a long peasant skirt, and she was carrying a chicken. And that sort of fit into my stereotype, but it was a beautiful, fluffy, fancy chicken. And I love animals. And so I went out and I introduced myself and I said, could I meet your chicken? And she said, yes, of course, in a very erudite tone. Yes, of course. His name is Pythagoras. Well, right then I knew that this was not, some uneducated person. And she had a PhD and she was a nurse, and her husband had written 3 books about living off the grid. And he had 2 PhDs, and it was like, okay, Robin, get over yourself. This is a whole world you don't know anything about. So stop pretending that you do. And now I've learned more about it, and we travel and meet all kinds of wonderful people. And it was just great. And I want to do a plug. Can I do a plug for
Oh,
something?
absolutely.
There's a group called Harvest Host, and it's like $75 to $85 to join for a year. And they have hundreds and hundreds of locations all over America and some in Canada where you can stop for a night for free, sometimes for a couple of nights. And a lot of these hosts are wineries or distilleries or farms or any manner of the golf courses, museums. And it's just wonderful. You get to stay for free all day and they don't even ask that you do this. If it's a winery, do a tasting or buy a bottle of wine, or if it's a farm, get a little of their cheese, but you don't have to. And all you have to do is Harvest Toast, tell them that you're coming. And we've had so many wonderful adventures doing that. So if anybody out there listening has an RV, check out Harvest Toast, because it will be your friend.
Yes, absolutely. And it's funny that you bring that up because there's another very important thing that we need to plug, and it's your new film coming
Oh,
out
yes.
on Saturday. The Holiday
Yeah.
Proposal Plan. So it's going to air on Lifetime. Like I said, as we are recording this right now, it will air on Lifetime this Saturday, December 16th. So without spoiling anything, what can you tell us about this new film and the character that you play?
There is it's 2 couples that are the stars of the show, and 2 girlfriends, and one ex-boyfriend, and what might be a soon-to-be ex-boyfriend. And so the whole plot of the film is my stepdaughter is trying to make sure that her friend and her friend's boyfriend get engaged, because that's what they meant to do before their work took them away from their trip around the world to that they were going to visit all these places. And so since the young woman of the couple was the one who had to squash the plans for travel, her girlfriend, my stepdaughter, says, well, let's recreate the places you were going to go around the world, but we'll recreate it up at my parents' bed and breakfast up in the mountains in Big Bear. So there's something in this for everybody. I am in an interracial marriage. My stepdaughter's relationship is interracial. Her girlfriend has a gay brother who's married to an Asian guy, and it's just everything. It ticks all the boxes, and it's pretty loving and fun. And you learn about a lot of traditions, Christmas traditions that happen in other parts of the world. For instance, in Ireland, there's a thing called Women's Christmas. And I think it happens a couple of days after official Christmas, where the women don't have to do a damn thing and the men have to do everything. And the women get pampered. And it's a regular thing that happens in Ireland. And then other traditions that they replicate throughout the show. And so it's interesting and educational.
That's awesome. Gosh, I can't wait to watch this. Gosh, well, you got me excited now. I was, of course, for you, I was gonna watch it, anyways, but now you got me extra excited.
Well, thanks. And here, for me, it was fun because the offer for the job came right after Christmas here in Los Angeles, and we shot in Big Bear, just a couple of hours from Los Angeles, and so Big Bear was all festooned with Christmas still, and so it was just like having second Christmas. Only this time, I only had to pretend to cook. Somebody else did all the cooking. I just stirred and and served. So it was really fun. It was fun to do.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, as we've been talking here, you've just had a long and storied career in movies and on television, on stage. But as over the years, things have kind of changed, from the good old days of watching everything on like broadcast TV, cable. We're now in this age of streaming and stuff. So I'm honestly curious, from your perspective, what are your thoughts on that evolution, and kind of what we're dealing with now, which is all this streaming stuff.
Well, I as a viewer, I like being able to see what I want to see when I want to see it. But as a performer, I feel as though the performers are definitely getting short shrift. We don't get the residuals that we should get. And in spite of what a lot of people think, this last contract that was put together by the Screen Actors Guild, SAG-AFTRA, I don't believe was a good one. And I know a lot of people don't. The AI issue is a very, very serious issue for actors now. And the streaming residuals are nothing in essence. And so it isn't good for performers. It's not good for performers. It's good for the audience, because they get to see what they want to see when they want to see it. And one other thing that I don't like about this new Hollywood is all this self-taping as opposed to going in for an audition, and I don't think we're ever going to go back to that fully. And it's again, the actor really suffers for this because, I mean, some people love to self-tape. They'd rather do it on tape and submit it than meet in person. But I would even prefer Zoom, like this, to do an audition. I had my first Zoom audition just the other day, and I much preferred it to self-taping because you get to interact with the person. They get to give you direction or suggestions or less of this, more of that. It's much more beneficial for the actor than having to find somebody to read the scenes with you, having to film it yourself, having to cut it all together, having to jump through all the little hoops that they want you to do. It's I don't think you for me anyway, I don't feel I do as well when I can't meet people and interact with them. So
Yeah. Just all these new just changes and everything. It's like, just how things have changed just really in just the last decade.
yes,
It's crazy. And it's honestly mind-boggling. And this AI stuff that I keep on reading more and more about, it's scary. It's honestly scary.
very scary. And it's actually now, if you don't, it can become a condition of employment, which is so wrong. If you say, no, I don't want to go through, I don't want you to scan me, they can go, okay, never mind, next. If you don't agree to what they want, then you risk losing the position, losing the job. And that's not right. It's not fair. But it's scary, as you say, it is scary. And I think a lot of people are concerned about it. I said to a friend of mine that I'm so glad that I do love the stage and that it's a place where I can find work and do work. And so, because, you don't need AI for any of that. And then I thought, oh, wait, they're going to have holograms, in the next 5 years, where they'll just do a hologram of a person performing on stage. So it's chasing us.
Yep.
Robots are
Yep.
after us.
Now, kind of going off that, with this new kind of with this strange new era in Hollywood, what would you say is the biggest piece of advice that you would give to aspiring actors, today?
Do theater, as much theater as you can, because that is really the rewarding creative work. Um, and if there's, and this, I say this, I think in the first page of my book, if there's anything else that you get joy from, if there's any other type of work or profession or endeavor that pleases you, do that instead. Because it's never been easy out here. You have to have a combination of tenacity and luck. And if, give it a shot. And if you must give it a shot, then give it a shot, but give yourself permission to quit if it's not paying off, because it requires a lot of time away from family and friends. And I don't mean shooting on location. I mean, it's you are choosing. If you have to try it, you must try it. If you feel as though you have a really good shot, there's something in your spirit and soul that says, I got to do it, I got to give it a try, I feel lucky, then do it. But know when to quit. Give yourself permission to say, all right, well, I gave it a try, I didn't feel the satisfaction that I thought I would, and so now maybe time to try something else. I mean, it's not at all unusual for people to have multiple careers now these days, is it? People change and do other things. And so beware of, if you come out here, beware of teachers who want to become your guru. You got to, working in class is one thing, but working on stage is something else. Actually doing the work, is critical. So stage, theater is what I would say. And that's really the best advice I can give, is give yourself a chance. If you feel that you must, give yourself permission to change your mind. If you want, you only fail if you stay and become miserable because you didn't achieve what you wanted. If you come and you try and then you decide that it's not for you, you're a winner. You gave it a shot, and so that's it. Do as much theater as you can. Give it a shot if you really feel called to do it. If there's anything else you would like to do, pursue that. And good luck, and keep your integrity. Absolutely keep your integrity. Anybody who's offering you something that seems too good to be true, it is. So you do your research.
Yep, absolutely. That is some fantastic advice. And now just one last thing we need to plug here. I saw that you're on Cameo. So wants
Yeah.
if anyone out there wants an awesome message from Sharon Potter herself, I will link that I'll link that in the description.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sam. That's very nice of you.
Yes, of course. No, I was, beforehand, I was looking at, because if you bring up Cameo, you can see some of the messages that you've sent people, and I tell you, I love the effort that you put into it. No, I can tell that your full intention is to make someone's day, and you just do a great job of that. So.
Oh, Sam, you're the best. Can we talk every single day? You're so good for my ego.
Well, I'll tell you, I won't be opposed to that. So, I mean.
Okay.
Uh, but seriously, Robin, thank you so much for letting me have this amazing opportunity to talk with you today. Just truly an honor.
Oh, thank you, Sam. It was wonderful talking with you too. All the best to you. Happy holidays and great luck in school. What are you studying, by the way?
Yeah. So I'm studying sports journalism.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So no, kind of like how I mentioned, being a sports fan, with the Yankees
Yes.
stuff. Well, I'm not a Yankees fan, I'm a Rangers fan, but
Okay.
I love sports and stuff, and I would love to go into sports broadcasting one day. That's my
And
dream.
then you will. You have a great personality. You do your research, that's for sure. People would love it talking to you. I know I have.
Well, Robin, those words coming from you, that really means a lot. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, Sam. Thank you.